Stan Lee is a cherished household name, seen by many as not only the backbone of Marvel Comics, but the childhoods of many people, not only across America, but throughout the world. He's helped create Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Hulk, and Black Panther, just to name a few. And while Stan Lee had brought much joy to many of his fans, you can't say it was exactly reciprocal. Something comic artist Ethan Van Sciver referred to while reminiscing in his time with Stan Lee and the convention circuit.
I will let you in on this little bit of insider info. I have spent time with Stan Lee in private, fortunately, and I cherish those memories. But he also said a few other things to me, and they have been basically keeping him locked in rooms, going from convention to convention, doing nothing but autographing comics, and I mean stacks and stacks and stacks of comics, and he's making good money. I don't know what this money is for, frankly. I know he's a wealthy man. I don't know who is making him do this. If he wants to do this, he doesn't seem to. I said to him, he was grumbling, and I said, Stan, these are your fans, and these are gonna be what did I say to him? They're gonna be treasured as heirlooms. And he said, they're not my fans. They're not going to be treasured as heirlooms. These people just buy these from me and they're going to sell them. He said, the moment I'm dead, these are going to go on eBay. And I laughed. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell how true of a feeling that was of his, or if he was just being grouchy. But that is what he said, and I guess that is how he feels. Now, this is the ultimate exploitation. Stan Lee's blood, allegedly stolen blood. I don't know how you can allege that the blood is stolen. Either Stan Lee deliberately bled for someone, or somebody stole his blood. It's up for sale in the form of Marvel Legends signature stamped on one of his biggest hits. We've learned several Black Panther comic books are currently available at the Marvel Avengers Station, I don't know, what does that stand for, store on the Las Vegas Strip. Each edition comes with a certificate of authentication that details the item as, quote, hand-stamped signature of Stan Lee, using Stan Lee's solvent DNA ink. In other words, his blood. Look at this. This is disturbed. It is really, really weird to exploit someone's physicality like this. And to do it without their permission is murderous. We broke the story. Stan's friend and partner, Kaya Morgan, discovered the 95-year-old's blood was allegedly stolen back in October after a former business associate presented Lee's nurse with fake docs that authorized that a sample be drawn. Imagine this. It's like Silence of the Lambs. Our sources say the nurse pulled enough blood from Stan for him to feel lightheaded and dizzy. We're told the Black Panther comic with Stan's Hancock in blue is selling for $250, but the one in gold is twice that at $500.
It appears that Stan was being forced to participate in appearances and signings not because he wanted to, but because those around him were pressuring him. But Stan's exploitation goes far beyond wheeling him from convention to convention. Some of Stan Lee's fans were craving his blood. Perhaps even worse, people in his inner circle had betrayed him and sold his blood on the black market. And so while we've heard about literal leeches draining Stan Lee of his blood, it perks one's interest to ask what else happened that we don't know about. This led John Bullerjack, a self-described member of Stan Lee's inner circle, to make a documentary about the abuse.
My name is John Bullerjack, and for the last 4 years of Stan Lee's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend. Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors. At the time, I didn't have the power to stop it, but I did have a camera, and I filmed everything.
John Bullerjack paints himself as somebody who witnessed and was present during all of the abuse, but also not complicit in it, which led Moist Critical to make this video.
To me, that feels really exploitative as well. You're telling me you've had this footage for years, incriminating evidence of Stan Lee being taken advantage of, and instead of releasing it throughout the years to spread the word about the injustice he faced or giving it to authorities about potential elder abuse, you've instead just sat on it, kegeling it until now, compiling it into this documentary that you're now looking for $300,000 to finish.
While many people on the internet were extremely critical of John Bolerjack, Nerdrotic was very eager to lend him his platform, aiding him in his quest to earn $300,000 from the exploitation of Stan Lee. Here John Bolerjack claims he was trying to help Stan Lee but was unsuccessful to because of extenuating circumstances.
Why not speak up about it at the time? And sometimes you try and nobody wants to listen.
Yeah, so that's actually per the comments, even we have in the chat here. The thing is, that is the question, and there was a pretty popular YouTube video that came out, last evening about that. It got over 1 million views, and that question is, first of all, incredibly valid. And I you read the comments, you see people are upset, they're really angry, and that anger is perfectly valid. Also, the thing is, I see these thousands of hate comments about me and asking why I didn't do anything, and I think that doesn't make me mad, because it's if I was in those comments, I'd be saying the same thing. I think it's really valid. The thing is when we're putting together this trailer, you sort of have a very limited amount of time to explain the whole situation. You don't want to get bogged down into a 4-minute explanation of one point. So obviously, based off the reaction, we didn't quite make it clear enough. But to answer your question about why didn't I do anything, well, the thing is, I did do things. I actually did a lot of things, and we just didn't have time to sort of cover those point by point, which is, luckily we have time to do that now. And there were some other people in the entourage who did speak up. They did say, had concerns about him being in a wheelchair, other things. And then one guy speaks and kind of loud about it, and then the next week we're at a show and I go, where's so-and-so? And I find out, oh, he got caught stealing from Stan and he's gone. We're never going to see him again. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. And then 2 weeks later, another guy spoke up and said something. And then a week later, he's gone. And he also was caught stealing from Stan. And so, it doesn't take a genius to start figuring out that if you're too loud and you try to stop this money machine, then you're going to be out, and the whole industry is going to know that not only are you out, you stole, and you stole from Stan Lee. And so then if you have a job in this industry, or a personality, or your now reputation is over because you stole from Stan Lee. And also, if maybe you had a booth at a con that Stan's appearing at afterwards, well, that booth's suddenly going to disappear, and you're not going to get that space. You just basically everyone sort of got the message that you need to be quiet or you're going to be out.
John Bolerjack heavily implies that people who tried exposing the abuse were actually punished severely and framed, perhaps, for crimes that they hadn't even committed. He claims that's why he didn't speak out. Next, he addresses a separate question as to why he didn't just expose the abuse on the internet.
Just people ask, well, why didn't you take this footage and just put it on the internet? Well, first of all, I'm not famous. I put it on the internet, 8 people will see it. It's not really going to necessarily do anything. But I ended up, out of desperation, I did do that. I spent 2 weeks, I edited a whole 8-minute video showing a bunch of stuff happening to him. I chronicled a whole day of how stressful it was for him. I put it on the internet, and this was 2018, while he's still alive. And I asked people to share it, on YouTube and links. It got no traction.
John says he did. So to me it sounds like he wasn't really all that worried about being framed for crimes, as he had previously attempted to put it on the internet. These two responses contradict each other. I find it interesting he mentioned that this internet expose didn't garner very many views. Perhaps that leads us to his true motivation. Could it be that he wasn't getting enough clout and money by posting all this information for free online? Moist Critical further explains why he feels this is just a grift, highlighting the Kickstarter campaign to make the documentary.
There are so many reward tiers here, more than I've ever seen in a Kickstarter project. I shit you not, I think there's close to 40 or 50 different reward tiers. It's crazy. Here's one for $500 where you get basically a CGC slabbed Stan Lee image. It seems like the reward system is all about incentivizing collectors. Every reward tier has some kind of element that hypes up the collecting appeal of the reward tier for the Kickstarter. It's very, again, weird. Here's another option for $500 tier, where you can get a tour through Los Angeles with John, where you'll visit places where bribes were offered, schemes were plotted, and millions went missing, stories that have never been told till now. What? So he'll take you on a tour of places where Stan Lee was exploited for $500. He'll take you on the Los Angeles tour of Stan Lee being taken advantage of.
Why get tickets to Disneyland or Universal Studios when you could pay $500 to see all the places that Stan Lee had been abused? There's nothing grifty about that, am I right? That's at least what Nerdrotic seems to think, as he made it a huge point to bring this guy on his show. Something that your boy Zach had commented on.
So this piece of shit fucking weasel, John Bolerjack, he was his assistant. And so he does this Kickstarter. He's like, I was his assistant and we were friends and I want to honor his memory. And then everyone's like, why didn't you help him when he was alive? So he goes on Gary's show because Gary gave him a platform to make himself look good. Except for his defense of everything is, I tried, but I can't prove it. Trust me, Snuffleupagus. And like the entire world, except for Nerdrotic, are like, not just fuck this guy in the ass, turbo fuck this guy in the ass. Like, this guy is a piece of shit, this John Bolerjack.
That's exactly how I feel too. This whole thing just reeks to me. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to share this video too, or...
You are a hoe ass
Thank you.